All right, everyone. Welcome. And let's put the music away. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the December edition, winter edition, Christmas edition of RIA CyberMeetUp. Thank you, everyone, for gathering here today, and everybody who is looking at us on the internet, and maybe right now, maybe sometime in the future. We have this is, not normal for us to do this on a Wednesday, so so thank you for making a note of the time change. My name is Lauri, and I work for the Information System Authority, or RIA, and we do this every month for those of you who are new here. And we do have a great lineup for you today. What's the overarching theme for today? Well, there is not that much of an overarching theme. We're trying to get to know some of the people in our community, because this is a community event after all, and we have some people in our community that you may have heard of. For example, there's CR14. People have all heard of that CR14, but who are the people? Who are the people? What do they do? What is it that they do? Then we have obviously people from representing some companies. 𝐄𝐝𝐿. 𝐄𝐝𝐿 is also like you're here like every time. Well, not every time, but you know. But who is he? What does he do? And obviously there's some people Anton is going to tell us about a startup thing that he's doing, not a startup, but a company that he's doing. There are people around us who we know exist, and Tartu University is obviously something that everybody knows that they do cybersecurity research. What do they do? What do we know? We don't know. So this is a great place to find out who they are and what they do. I'm guessing then we should just get started. The first up who is here is 𝐄𝐝𝐿. 𝐄𝐝𝐿 represents the Palo Alto Networks. We are at the Palo Alto Club. He's going to tell us all about what, like, is there a connection? Is there no connection? But then he's going to tell you a little bit about what genius business things that they have come up with lately. So take it away.
Good evening. Apologies, I'm a little bit slow today. But yeah, I wish there would be a bigger connection with Palo Alto Club. But unfortunately, yes, I'm running Palo Alto Networks business in the Baltics, and this is not our office, unfortunately, but I would happily use it for it. But yeah, essentially today I wanted to talk to you about a new cybersecurity tool category. New, it's sort of new. I mean, it's emerging more and more. Actually, could I get a show of hands? How many of you have heard about enterprise browsers? Seen them, worked with them? One hand. Okay, very good. Fresh crowd. I don't know about you guys watching online, whether you have, but you'll know something a little bit more after today. Essentially, over the past couple of years now already, the way we work and the way we create applications has changed a little bit. And nowadays, pretty much everything has moved towards web, towards SaaS. Today, I would say 80 to 95% in the Baltics are using web-based applications and the browser as their main UI in their daily work, in their productive daily work. At the same time, all of us, we know that browsers are vulnerable. I mean, 2023, almost 350 vulnerabilities found. Obviously, they are patched quite quickly. Question is, how quickly do we deploy those patches to the field and so on. But at the same time, browsers definitely play a key role in the attack chain. So either it's going to be the source, or at one of the points it's going to be used either to gather credentials after a successful phishing email, or then to execute some code in the browser. At the same time, of course, also SaaS have already exploded. I mean, it's not something that's happening or will happen. And at the same time, the applications that companies know of that users are using usually is like 20–30%, because an average large company, according to at least my circle that I have been talking to, essentially see around 1,000 different applications in their network that the users are using. 1,000. And actually, it's not just enterprises, even people at home see several hundreds if you really dig into this metrics and data. And obviously, from organization perspective, many of those are essentially whitelisted and preferred for the users to use. Many of them will be tolerated, but then, of course, there are a lot of risky ones. Risky from cybersecurity perspective, and also risky from data leakage perspective, for instance. Of course, sort of the last thing is that many of us are using more and more our own devices for work. Of course, yes, there are organizations that provide all the equipment to the employees and then urge them to use it for everything. In most of the cases, still, if you will get a company-issued phone that you know that is being sort of tracked and so a company can see everything that you're doing, you might end up with 2 phones instead. And then sometimes you will still do some work on your private device as well. But obviously, even if that's not the case and you're simply using your own iPad or a different tablet for work, that device is not managed in most of the cases. It's less secure, meaning there's, yet again, additional opportunity for the bad guys to utilize that. And at the same time, security is still difficult. And we're seeing that, according to Gartner, almost 3/4 of employees, people, will circumvent security to do something, either simply to do something or to do something easier. That's a really, really bad sign. I mean, for us who are trying to enforce cybersecurity and keep the organization safe. Where we are struggling nowadays and more and more, security mostly has been enforced on the network level. Now with the more and more evolving privacy movements and tools and security ciphers and so on and so forth, with the modern encryption, including certificate pinning technologies and others, essentially even for us, and we believe that we are a company that does very good job to help our users to decrypt traffic to be able to inspect it. But even for us, we are seeing that you really cannot decrypt almost half of it. So, I mean, even for simple things like just going to apple.com, like everything that goes there, on the network level, you don't see anything. And at the same time, when you're trying to enforce the security on the network level, users are not getting feedback if something's blocked. For instance, if a user is trying to download a file and it has been sent to a sandbox for inspection, normally you would simply get a timeout and you would not get a message that, hey, come back, download it 5 minutes later, we will have scanned it then, and then you will be able to get it. if it's good. And if it's bad, then you don't get anything back. So essentially, on a network level, we are failing. And there is no cure for that. And of course, it doesn't mean that network is going away and I mean, network security is going away and it's not needed. But if you can't see the data that travels through, you cannot protect it, you cannot enforce any security on it. So if work happens there, if work happens in the browser, most of it, then also the security should be enforced in the browser. And of course, the main thing is that in the browser, everything's almost like plain text. Everything's decrypted, all data, everything is visible, easily inspected, and security easily can be ensured. So, what essentially is a secure enterprise browser or secure enterprise browser, depending on how companies are calling their products? It's a browser, so surprise. Main thing, it's hardened and isolated from the operating system, meaning that there's a possibility to ensure that any keyloggers or screen scrapers installed on the as a malware on the operating system will not be able to extract any data from the sessions. There's a possibility to, obviously depending on the vendors and everything, there's a possibility to disable developer tools, which essentially means that you basically see an image. You cannot get into the website core data. From deployment perspective, yes, if it's a managed device, then one of the aspects, as with any software nowadays almost, is it can be easily deployable centrally, but at the same time it has to be, and most of them are, easily deployable and installable by a user without admin rights, without any big hassles. And essentially, main thing that it does, it enables and ensures cybersecurity on the device itself, within the browser. And to do that, obviously, first thing that enables it is a user authentication and strong encryption of the data that comes in and resides in the browser itself. And one of the biggest benefits that I see myself, DLP always has been a headache for, I mean, most of the organizations that have either tried or that are doing data loss prevention as part of their cybersecurity policies and activities. What I've seen in the browser, it is elegantly simple, because as all the data is yet again open, there is possibility to mask data. There is possibility to add watermarks to certain sites or applications that are deemed more critical. There is possibility to disable screenshots, printing, and other things that could be used essentially to leak the data out. At the same time, also one of the encryption pinpoints is that if you provide access to your application via the secure browser to somebody, you can ensure that all that data is encrypted and it can be opened just and only with the browser. So essentially, if you're providing data to a third-party user to work on for a month, for two, but you want to be sure that that data doesn't leak and that you can take it back, if you send it, if you give it printed, there is no way to ensure, apart from legal clauses, obviously, that that data will be fully returned. In this way, you disable the user access. He doesn't have access to the encrypted file, even if it's residing on his device for offline use. So, use cases and possibilities. I mean, I definitely don't know of all of them, And I believe that you could come up with many examples and cases. Third parties and contractors, for once, as you don't need to provide any network level connectivity. No more VPNs, especially big difficulty is if there's a contractor that has like 5 different companies working for, and he needs 5 different VPN clients to connect to those environments. Browser fixes that. Bring your own device, unmanaged devices, and like I said, on top of that, the use cases are tons and tons and tons. Same for mobile. I mean, if you have the possibility to check the device's posture and isolate the UI, isolate the interface that the user is actually working with on his private device that has less security, you don't have to worry about it because it's sandboxed, isolated. He cannot export data. Nobody can steal that data off of device if it's compromised, and so on. Check if it's jailbroken, for instance, as well. And yeah, as I simply wanted to do a quick pitch and open your eyes to this new category that's coming and booming. Gartner says that by 2030, most of the companies will have adopted enterprise browsers. I believe that that's going to happen much, much sooner and quicker, especially here as we are way more tech savvy and trying to be a step ahead of everybody else. That's about it.
All right, thank you very much. Give a round of applause. Can you hear me? Yeah, you can hear me. All right, this is an interesting thing. First question for me, I'll take a question from the audience as well, because this is probably going to be a controversial or interesting discussion later on as well. So give it to me straight. What are you selling? If I want to come to you and be like, hey, this enterprise browser thing, sounded interesting. Do you sell a service like that?
We do have a product like that, of course, yes.
Okay, so that was basically just one of the big questions. All right, does anybody have a question from the audience? Question right here.
What would be your suggestion for company? Corporate browser, open source style, reviewed code versus closed code? Any ideas?
I mean, open source or commercial product, main question always comes from 2 sort of aspects. One is the functionality that you're getting. If you're getting full functionality that you need from the open source one, go ahead, use it. Second is a question of how big is the company and how much resources you will need to put in and invest into maintaining that product. Because everything that comes open source, essentially, you are the one who is paying with your time, with your resources to maintain it, to support it, and so on and so forth. If that's okay for you, go ahead.
Interesting stuff. There is one more question back there.
Yes, I have 2 questions. Number 1, how do you plan to get, if it's closed source, how do you plan to get trust from potential clients in order for them to trust you to use your browser? And another question about the leakage, or let's say someone would take screenshots of the data from the browser and stuff like that. There are some devices that intercept on HDMI level from cable the whole video source. Mm-hmm. Is there any way to fight those devices? So even with such devices, they won't be able to get the data.
Yeah, I don't know whether I can get my slide deck back, but on the first one, so as with any security vendor and essentially a partner, you have to do your due diligence and you will have to trust the company that's whose products you are buying and with whom you're partner up. Doesn't matter whether you're buying firewall, an EDR, XDR solution, or in this case, secure enterprise browser. Okay, so if I jump back to the second question that you had, as one of the options, well, it's a small screenshot here, but for your sort of crown jewels and most secure systems, you can add a watermark with your logo, with the username and a timestamp. So obviously, yes, anybody can take a phone and take a snapshot of the picture or use a HDMI recorder or other things. But if he knows that you have your name on it and somebody will find out about it, well, that's a, yeah, well, there's risk will remain always, but question is how you can manage it and decrease it as much as possible while enabling the business.
All right, many more questions. Edgaras will be here to answer all those questions and sell you his product. And thank you very much. One more applause.
Thank you.
I don't mean this selling thing in any bad way. Don't worry about it. I mean, like, we are, you know, the community is made up of people who buy things, who sell things, who research things, who break things, and who, you know, put things together. And so from time to time, there will be people up here in the same community who are trying to sell you things and you know, promote their product. Because Maria, right, Anton, right. So we're gonna continue with CR14, right? Okay, good, because we have a little bit of a different, we gotta change the schedule a little bit. We thought that we had somebody. So, CR14, somebody also probably not trying to sell you things yet? Okay, but what do they do? There is a artificial intelligence deployable agent, very interesting headline coming up here. Erki, tell us all about it. What is it that you do with this AI agent?
Hi everyone. So to be clear, we do sell. I think that's a very good place to start. So who we are. CR14 is a government-owned entity. We operate under the Estonian MOD, so we are very much defense-focused, but not only. So we're dual use. We are legally something what is called sihtasutus in Estonian, so foundation. So we do sell services. We don't have yet any products, I believe. We sell services, but you know we don't do it only just to get a lot of profit, a lot of money, but we do it so that we follow what we need to do in our mandate, which is helping our country, our allies, our companies to improve their cyber resilience. The primary thing that we do is cyber range. Many of you probably know what it is, but those of you who haven't seen the term or you know, seen behind the term, then it's, in a simple way, it is cyber of a range. So most of you, I don't know, if you're not in the fields, you definitely know about military testing, training ranges. Everyone in Estonia has heard about the Nursipalu. We do the same thing in the cybersphere. So it is, in essence, training, testing environment. It is segregated from your production or operational environment. It is heavily virtualized, but we do have physical components as well, obviously, definitely on the server side, but also you know, when we simulate or attach certain military components or non-military components, then they are not always 100% virtualized. They can be connected physically as well. And what makes us, let's say, exceptional is that we can say, at least in public terms, the biggest player in the world. don't know exactly what the highly secure US forces do, but in terms of publicly published sources, then we have the biggest capability. Many of you know the NATO CCDCOE and the exercises, locked shields, crossed swords. Also the NATO exercises Cyber Coalition, which were just held last week in our premises. And all of these run on our environment. And these are heavily defense-focused and military government-focused. So in order to kind of provide something for the companies as well, we have launched, built up something what we call an open cyber range, the green cyber range in the middle there. This is from early of this year, if I remember correctly. But we have further capabilities in development phase as well, on the classified side, on the space sides, and we also have in pipeline something what we can call as AI cyber range as well. But apart from that, this is not everything we do. Cyber range is our core business, but we're also heavily involved in R&D activities, notably on the EU side. We participate and lead a number of European Defence Fund projects, but we also do Horizon Europe and Digital Europe programs. And I would like to just take a minute or two, tell a bit about the top left projects on the screen. So we started this one project called AIDA, Artificial Intelligence Deployable Agent, under the EDF program. It's a project that we lead together with Thales. We also have there around 20-something additional companies participating. So what we do in this 3.5-year project is that we aim to develop a framework, a baseline, and on top of that, a selection of prototypes of AI-based cyber defense agents, which are then aimed at, or they will function within the cyber incident management cycle. And what is important, we're looking at the on the military side, and especially on the edge. So we do will do work, let's say, on the centralized environments or security operations centers, if you will. But let's say the differentiation that we would like to make is on the edge, on the assets that are deployed on the military field, whether it's a drone, whether it's other, defense system, a big system. So it doesn't just have to be a small drone or a kind of a, I don't know, a camera in a military camp. So this is where we focus. And what makes it different is the technical barriers, but also organizational, personal barriers. So there we have less connectivity, less computing power, and we don't have all of the cybersecurity specialists on the field who can fix stuff as needed. This is very briefly, so kind of a more technical side as well. So we will look into all of the domains. We have companies contributing there, as I said, Thales, Indra, Leonardo, Honeywell, Evidenatus, so a bunch of large players. And our role there is, on the one hand, we will have to lead and manage everything, but we will here develop something what we can say is AI cyber range, so dedicated testing and production environment, testing and training environment for AI solutions. As this is pretty much the whole time that I have, I will now need to give the word over to my good colleague Margus, who will tell a bit about what he and us think about how AI will affect IT and cyber professionals.
Hello, my name is Margus Ernits, and I'm here to sell you an idea. And I know that a lot of companies currently implementing some AI solution in their information system. And you as a security specialist should be aware how to do it in a secure way. And in all companies, I have seen a lot of pessimism and optimism, like two different sides. Few people will say that, okay, this AI will go away because hype will go away. Almost nobody believes that. And some people say that, okay, the energy consumption of AI models and model training is so huge that it doesn't have a future. And we should not continue to use it. Some people say that, okay, there is no knowledge, that's just dot product or something like matrix vector multiplication, and that's all. There is no AI there. And some people are more optimistic, saying that, okay, you don't need any coding skill in the future. You can use ready systems to do all coding and not like spending time of learning programming or something like that. Some people will strongly believe that we are somewhere near 𝐵2. Have you heard about 𝐵2? Raise your hand if you have. Okay. And I recommend to search this term in Wikipedia, for example. And this is probability of AI doom and how like different people think about AI and how it leads to the doom. What I would like to add that there is also like good mentality, good, like ship it immediately. For example, this happened in real, like in one companies. One very optimistic programmer wanted to show abilities of AI and to help users. And improved and created like a prototype of the AI chatbot that can query some documents and help users. Just a chatbot. And wanted to show it to business side. And what happened? Business side immediately said that you should ship it immediately. It's ready. There is absolutely no worries. No need to care about anything. Just throw it away, give it to users. But there was a little problem. The system was designed in the way that basically OpenAI API key was in JavaScript. And you can imagine how IT and security people feel about shipping immediately, something like that. But what to do? How to deal with it? You probably know that people will speak about like AGI. Some people said that, okay, it's already there. Some people say that there is no risk to see it in near time. And what I'm saying and trying to sell you as an idea, it doesn't matter what you believe, are you optimist or pessimist? I believe strongly that people actually need to learn much more about AI than they do today. Usually how very optimistic programmers like start implementing AI projects, it's like a usual API service project. It's like API integration to some third party. But it's not sufficient to understand and do something with AI. Of course, we have very good guides from OWASP, risks, AI risks, and also implementation checklist. You can check those, use it, but the idea I have, it's not sufficient. And if you want really implement AI, you should dig deeper, dig more, and we once stated or believe that every IT pro is in security field and responsible about security. I would like to state that every IT pro should know more about AI. It doesn't matter if you are pessimist or optimist, you actually need to know more about it. More than just using public APIs. And of course, people usually don't have anything against knowing more, but learning it's hard. And with learning, it's especially hard to think that actually if you don't struggle, you don't learn. If you're just watching some video and relaxing in the same time, there is no learning. Learning is always struggle. Internet is full from information how to start. And I recommend to spend 1 hour of your time to learn much, much more about AI models and deep neural networks. It's not much, please spend this time. And also recommend to your co-workers, are they optimists or pessimists side, doesn't matter. And there is a very good channel, I recommend full channel, but those like 3 videos, they are like must for each IT pro, I would like to say. And if you want really implement something with deep neural networks or build own transformer or model, then you need to dig deeper. And also our host actually prepared very good guide. Sorry, it's only in Estonian, I believe, how to implement AI. I would like to say that every Estonian speaking developer should read it through. Absolutely must reading. And if you think that your math skill is too low, there is also a very visual guide to speak about matrices and multiplications and probabilities. It's completely different from your, I don't know, linear algebra course you took maybe a long time ago and maybe doesn't remember absolutely anything. And the new method how to present mathematics and how to teach it is here. And those link collection is like short collection that I prepared specially for cybersecurity specialists. And if you had already some math course in university long time ago, it's okay, you're fine to start. And in conclusion, learning takes effort, but you need just 1 hour to get much better in that stage. And we are hiring.
Thank you. Right? All right, applause. You are hiring a cybersecurity researcher and an AI infrastructure engineer, or is that 2 in 1? 2 separate positions. All right. So all right. So AI agent project and AI opportunities for this. Right. If you are intrigued about this and want to know more about how to get into this field and what were those resources and how to get into, how to get those slides and how to get those links, then these guys will be here. You can come up to them and ask them more about these issues. We are going to continue with something that uses AI, right? So Anton Vereshin, where are they? Oh, you're over there. So you're here to tell us a little bit about your company. And if I understand correctly, that uses a little bit of that AI stuff as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. So, so all in all, this is something that like really gives you an example of like what type of like every security system nowadays comes with this little tick. This uses AI, this doesn't use AI, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here's one that does. So take it away.
Thank you for the opportunity. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anton. I'm the CTO and founder of Vespia Defendex. This is our new product. We've been on the market for like 2-3 years with the products for banking and fintech space. Now we are also moving into defense and cybersecurity space. And I'm not going to sell you anything yet. We're mostly looking for proof of concept trials and this type of things to see and explore how it would work for one of your organizations. We have some spots left till like for the Q1 2025. So yeah, after the presentation, if this resonates with you, then yeah, don't be shy, come over. So yeah, over the last few years, we've been building something really exciting. It's an AI system which allows to verify businesses and founders and basically everything behind the businesses, and also the supply chain, basically the steps in your supply chain. Did you know that 60% of security breaches in defense come from vulnerable suppliers, partners, service providers, contractors, and basically this type of entities? And one weak link can disrupt entire operations, costing millions, and in defense world, the consequences are much higher. And we solve this problem. We've built an advanced AI to verify and continuously monitor all of your suppliers, partners, service contractors to prevent breaches before this even happen. And the market for cybersecurity is growing really fast. And it's driven by over 2 trillion spending in the defense space, especially now with wars happening all over the globe and in Ukraine. And everyone, I think probably everyone here knows about the Hezbollah explosions of these handheld radios and pagers. So the problem is clear. The suppliers, partners, service providers are vulnerable. And governments and companies are looking for solutions to like overview everything what's happening there and like the whole procurement process, because usually it's pretty fragmented. Basically the partners, suppliers are checked when they enter, let's say a tender, whatever. Later on, of course, maybe something is checked, but usually it's pretty chaotic, manual, and doesn't really work. The process is pretty outdated, and most of the process kind of pre-war process where it wasn't like really deep and so forth. So let me see. Yeah, and we've trained our own AI model. Right now it's more kind of the prototype, but we are moving deeper. We are part of NVIDIA Inception startup program, where basically they help us to with the GPUs, with the cloud credits in order to train and so forth. As you probably know, it's pretty expensive thing to do. And we cover 200 plus jurisdictions, so we collect data, we know interesting things about like different regions and so forth. And we use 5,000 plus different data points to do the processing and due diligence. We're already seeing a strong demand. We are 200K ARR and 23 paying customers, but this is mostly for like fintech and banking space. Recently, we closed the deal with MasterCard, so they did pretty deep due diligence on our products and stack. And yeah, now we're moving into defense. I'm very excited to extend this to cyber. And actually, this high demand, we didn't thought about that, but this high demand is coming from this geopolitical situation in Europe. And we've been reached out by many different organizations. So we're setting up pilots. And yeah, if you want to check what kind of we are doing in details, reach out. So our ICPs is not just government, it's any dual-use technology company, whatever you're producing, like drones, anything electronic software. So when you have this dual-use components, then it's good to stay safe and check. Yeah, our team has deep expertise in cyber defense, compliance, and this type of things. I have PhD in cloud computing cybersecurity. In my previous startups, I worked with several military organizations too. And yeah, so basically we're here to protect the future of European defense. And if any of you are interested or the organization is interested, please reach out. And happy to answer any questions you have.
All right, give a round of applause. So I'm gonna take this privilege that I host this thing, and so I'm gonna ask the first question.
Sure.
So we just heard that, you know, like stuff that's being done with AI there, and then there's this AI-powered something going on over here. If you could go back a couple of slides, let's see back. Let's see if yeah, exactly. So could you explain to us, what is it that your AI, the NVIDIA thing is going on? What do they train on, and what is it that the machine has to learn, and what is it that the machine has to, you know, demonstrate or sort of as an output, so that it could be of benefit compared to whatever, you know, things have been done before AI?
Yeah, sure. So most of the systems right now are rule-based. So you put like different rules, you put basically a lot of this if then else's and so forth. You might have like some classical algorithms and so forth, but usually they're pretty kind of hard to maintain and retrain all the stacks, move forward. So if you have, let's say, some even machine learning elements in your stack, then it's probably outdated too. So what we do, we collect different data points, and it's initial data points from, let's say, the company or the partner you've onboarded or onboarding in order to whatever help with your operations, plus any behavioral data. So let's say in banking sector, it works in a way that you do a money transfer from A to B, and then if you log in from 5 different places in the world within, like, let's say 24 hours, then is it like even feasible to move around using like an aircraft across these points and so forth, where you've been exactly while logging in into the system and so forth. So in defense, it can be the abnormalities like you onboarded a new partner and then the next week you see increased traffic in the network. So the question is why? So we're helping to answer those questions through the analysis and AI. So yeah, to answer the question, so right now, like the production grade AI we have for banking insurance, for defense we are still working on that, but we use pretty good data from our partners to train it on. Yeah, if you want kind of to know deeper, we can jump into deeper conversation too. So.
No. I mean that's fine. But there's a couple of questions in the audience as well. I just wanted to know whether, you know, there's some vendors who say, of course we use AI, and then they just use a complex algorithm, or then they just basically use a large language model to, you know, explain data from one point to another point, and then say this is AI powered. So with this, any questions from the audience? Not right now. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Another applause. And we have our final speaker tonight, Maria Bachtina. Well, University of Tartu, obviously. But thank you for finally getting here. I understand that the trains are not as good.
It took me 4 hours to get here.
4 hours.
From
This
Tartu, not Riga.
This is dedication. This is something that she has put in effort to be here. So take it away. Tell us how much effort, what is it that the effort is going towards?
Thank you. So hello everyone, my name is Maria Bachtina and I'm a junior research fellow at University of Tartu, where I'm doing also my PhD studies currently. And today what I will sell you is not actually my research event, but sort of suspicion about trust and securing organizational identities. So today a lot of speakers were talking about different kind of security, and in my research I'm focusing mainly on securing organizations because as we all mentioned, there are multiple of supply chains. We use it for getting some sort of data for improving our company itself. So when organizations collaborate, they need to have some sort of social trust between each other on which they rely when they exchange this kind of data. And in order to support this social trust, which basically supports our reputations as organizations, they use credentials as a technical measure to support this trust, through which they can know with who they communicate during the message exchange, and they can make sure that the person or like system component with who they communicate is actually the one it claims to be. And as a result, this forms identity management system. And as most of you probably know, in identity management, there are 3 key components of actors, issuers, holder, and verifier, and they participate in 3 key operations, where first holders present some sort of attributes based on which issuers checks those attributes and issue credentials, and then finally at the third stage those credentials are used. And commonly, instead of writing physical signature or stamps, we use now digital signatures using some probably public key infrastructure, so that verifier using some sort of proof from issuer can verify that our message we sent is actually coming from our company. And it all relies on some sort of trust. So in an organizational context, there is one, while it's not physical entity, collaboration and trust means that when, for example, there is hospital who wants to get some data from health board and get some health record from the registry, then when they send a message request, they should sign the message with the private key, and this private key is managed by some sort of ODI or organizational digital identity controller, who is basically like a custodian who stores and maintains the private key. Traditionally, it's some sort of administrator of security server or some trusted security provider. So once the message signed, the data provider can, using the credentials, verify the signatures against the used public key. And depending on how exactly this kind of verification, signing, what form of credentials are used, who is issuer, and what kind of trust we actually build, there are different identity and trust models. The most commonly established nowadays are centralized and federated, but in terms of organizations, federated are not so commonly used. So we will not talk about it today. And currently, the emerging identity and trust models is decentralized, where you don't want to have some central trust, and it allows self-sovereign identity system, and there is also zero trust when you don't want to trust someone inside your own organization as much as you can. So having a look at most commonly used now centralized identity management system, you most probably, again, know it very well, that there is a full trust assumption to certification authority, who, when you go to, as a company to get some certificate, you provide attributes, they issue you 𝐂𝐴𝐸 certificate following 509 standard, and to verify you use OCSP service. But in case of organizational identity, again, it's not that you just need to make sure that this is the same system and it's automatically issued certificate, but traditionally there is some sort of human involvement. In contrast, nowadays there are a lot of talks about decentralization of everything, including identity management. So in the case of identity management, we want to remove this issuer certification authority, and we want to trust on something which is distributed, and therefore we want to assume algorithmic root of trust, where we basically trust cryptography of distributed ledger, let it be distributed file system or blockchain system. And in this case, credentials are already not just certificates, but they are verifiable credentials, meaning they're tamper-proof and they're cryptographically cryptographically proven and cannot be changed. And they rely on distributed identifiers. And altogether, it allows some sort of automation of identity issuance. So which way to go? Some companies now may think, okay, we are using centralized, should we use decentralized? And how we even take this decision? In order to address this problem, in my research, I developed a modeling-based method for identity management selection, which relies on this quality assessment model, where you basically, depending on what are the goals of your identity management system, you need to model the desired state using the selected trust model, and to see how well it affects, what effect it has on security, control, usability, and maintainability. And now let's have a look at how we applied it in the case of X-Road. And please raise your hand if you know some technical details of, or like key components of X-Road. Great. And who have heard about it? Great. So as you know, X-Road is an open source, some part of it is open source solution, which provides secure and unified data exchange, and is used, for example, in Estonia as the background for e-governance systems. And currently, X-Road relies on centralized identity management, and when organizations transfer data from one another, they use 𝐂𝐴𝐸 certificates. So in this case, there are two centralization points. First, each organization having identity, it need to fully trust the certification authority when it's on the issuance and verification of its identity. And second, it need to fully trust the controller of its identity. So in this case, it's security server. And in my research, I was trying to see either we can remove these centralized points. So going with the first approach, I was thinking that let's try to remove fully decentralization of everything. Let's go with distributed ledger. And basically, it resulted in this architecture on the right-hand side, where instead of using certification authorities and OCSP services, we transfer to decentralized public key infrastructure, where we rely on distributed ledger, on self-sovereign identity agents who handle basically all the kind of communication and wallet management. And it would look like, in order to test how it would look like, we used Hyperledger in the toolset. And in a nutshell, the issuance of credentials in X-Road would look the following way: that when a new member or organization wants to join X-Road, it would need to have some sort of already pre-issued verifiable credentials, for example, business registration credentials, which should be checked by authority owning X-Road, And upon successful presentation of these verifiable credentials, they could onboard the 𝐄𝐝 instance. And then it would mean that new decentralized identifier would be created in the 𝐄𝐝 own distributed ledger, in our case hyperledger in the blockchain, and thereby the new system is discoverable on the blockchain for everyone, and everyone in the 𝐄𝐝 can communicate with it. So in order to communicate with it, anyone can go to this distributed ledger, look up the identifier, see basically DID document, which is similar to credentials, which shows the public key, but it doesn't show any kind of other information about other verifiable credentials organization has. So upon finding this DAD, in the ledger, organizations could establish direct connection using DID-COM protocol and exchange verifiable credentials, and the messages would be signed with the public key stored in the ledger and basically available for everyone all the time, not like in the case of certification authority when OCSP service is down and you cannot check either the signature is correct or not. And based on this proof of concept architecture, we came to conclusion that in case of decentralization for organizations, at least in the 𝐄𝐝 scenario, yes, decentralization brings more security because it removes single points of failure and allows more availability of identity usage due to automation. But on the other hand, it is fully not backwards compatible, and you cannot just use it as it is. You need to build full new governance infrastructure to know who will be managing ledger, who will be creating those verifiable credentials, and how it will work anyway. And additionally, it is complex to use due to need to support this blockchain on the background. So covering the first single point of trust to the external point, we thought that okay, but maybe we can remove centralized trust internally. So we don't want to trust, for example, our admins on fully storing and using our private key. And for this, we tested out the theory of using zero trust concept. And as a result, we developed a centralized identity management system, but with the distributed key management, which assumes partial custody of the keys and relies on threshold cryptography, where you basically involve not only one point of system to sign your messages on behalf of your organization, but you split it and give control to information system, for example, to employees, and maybe also to external custodians, but basically the initiator of the messages are people who are also involved in signing those messages. And in a nutshell, in the most simple words, it would mean that while in 𝐄𝐝, for every organization, its private key was stored in security server, now we propose that we split it between multiple people and system components. So when one of them want to initiate the message, they at least minimum number of threshold of other contributors need to also sign the message using threshold sign-in service, and only then the full signature would be created on behalf of the organization. And the implementation of this architecture resulted in the following, that it showed that it also improved security by also providing some sort of decentralization and trustlessness, though it takes a bit more time to establish, to conduct the signature creation. On the other hand, it also gives more control and traceability of who uses the organizational identity. It is more usable in terms of portability, and mainly it's backwards compatible, meaning that it does not require any new full infrastructure creation, and only one 𝐄𝐝 member can do it on their own site without others even knowing. But it's still complex to manage. So if you ask me, based on my research, which one is better, then I will tell you that in the organizational context, decentralized public infrastructure looks like almost unfeasible to realize, at least in the current state, and especially for companies who are already having some sort of interaction and using some data exchange systems. On the other hand, if you would want to avoid some centralized control and trust internally in your organization, then distributed key management as threshold cryptography could benefit you. And if you want to try yourself these two architectures, then you can access these GitHub repositories. They are open access. And the first one is with distributed public infrastructure, which is absolutely new X-Road instance. And the second one is deployment of distributed key management systems, and you can apply it to your own X-Road instance. So it's just to play around if you would like to. And that's all from my side. Thank you.
All right, that was intense. That was a lot to take in, I understand that these things may seem like you're just jumping into it, like really deep end and everything like that. But you can revisit these talks online if you didn't catch everything. And but before we go, maybe just one question from the audience before we go. Absolutely, right there.
Thank you. First of all, thanks for an amazing presentation. The question is, how would revocations work in case of distributed system? Let's say a company who's using the X-Road whatever got sanctioned, for example. So how to revoke accesses and this type of things.
Thank you. Today I tried to go briefly as much as I could. So in the distributed case, the assumption is that you don't need to create special certificates for joining just the X-Road. Instead, you are using your verifiable credentials, which are issued by trusted governmental, for example, organizations. So when you join X-Road, you already should have before credentials such as that you are you have the established business, so you basically registered, for example, in Estonia. You have this, for example, set of certificates, a certification of, I don't know, ISO 27000, and you are trustworthy in some, or participant of some, let's say, financial network. And if any of those verifiable credentials are revoked, then basically your participation in X-Road is automatically revoked because you don't have pre-required credentials.
All right, thank you very much. And thank you again, Maria. Applause, applause. We are going to wrap up with this. This was the final one of 2024. We will now, you can stay, have a drink, have a snack, and let's see how long we can hang out here, find somebody to talk to. Next time we will meet up in the new year, 2025. January 16. We are going back to Thursdays. So this was, you know, an exception that we're doing a Wednesday. So from 2025, we're going back to Thursdays. Other than that, thank you everybody who's been watching us online and here as well. Have a good Christmas.